In that now, if you look at the commercial turnover data, it's easier to get your head around some of the residential data in terms of transaction volume. There's a noticeable change 23, 24, 25. The return of the big deal hasn't happened yet, but we're a month in, and if you take London as a bellwether, there's already signals of the 200-300 million individual lot size deals. And looking back on 2025, we did see a reasonable amount of M&A type work, particularly in the logistics sector. So it's been there, nothing like what we saw pre-COVID. That's the right thing to use. But certainly to us, it feels like, I'm going to use the Sugar's inflection point term again, it does feel like 25 has been that inflection point, and there is a bit of, I hope this doesn't age badly, but there's a bit of momentum there now for us. I wasn't someone who believed in the survive till 25 statement. It was absolutely right. I hope that was it. But it feels better. The conversations all feel better. The capital is engaging in a way that it wasn't last year.
We, as PATRIZIA, have been investing a lot in housing, in affordable housing, throughout the years. I think, relating to your first question about is there an opportunity today, I think it's an enormous opportunity. I think we're all recognize that there's a crisis in Europe, in the UK, not enough homes being built. We see investment opportunities, we all need to do it together. We're all piece in this puzzle to do that. And we see that in the UK, but we're also doing that in Europe. So same in Spain, we're trying to front run some of social housing projects in that country as well. And those examples that we're seeing there, we could also extrapolate to markets here. So I think this conversation is super important, and I think that governments announcing these types of things is very good. The next step should be these local things that we're going to execute on.
What we think we're doing well at PATRIZIA is really understand the DNA of infrastructure and real estate investing, so we can get into that nitty-gritty of what risk are you taking, and it comes a bit back to the point we were talking about finding the deal that fits your risk-return profile and really understanding what that looks like for you in that particular deal. Are there people getting a bit excited pricing-wise? Sure, and jumping in that they don't necessarily understand that risk profile? I think so. Does that mean it's a bubble and that everybody's going to lose money? No, I don't think we're in any of that. I think there are, in terms of you look at the demand versus the supply, and the gap is so enormous that even if we get that demand curve wrong by a little bit, or even quite a lot, there's still a gap. You still fundamentally are going to need to store data, and that need is only going to increase exponentially over the coming years, just as it has. You think about your own personal data footprint. Do you now have a Ring doorbell that's storing all your video? Do you now have, all of these things that even 2 years ago you maybe didn't have? So your own personal data footprint is requiring massive additional storage just for that basic day-to-day stuff, let alone you think about the government and what they're trying to store, and smart homes, smart office, smart everything that we're trying to do in a building like this, the data storage requirements for that. It's not just AI, which is, perhaps the bit that people think about when they think bubble. It's that core data market that is going to exist far beyond just what it is today. Today, the US has more than half the total data center capacity, and that can't continue because we don't all want our data held by the US government. And so I think, even here from the UK, from Europe, there's going to need to be continued significant investment in this space.
As a concierge service, I have a lot of people who spend a lot of time talking to investors. And when there are specific problems, as I say, we try and fix them. And I have a specific resource dedicated actually to grids. That's just one of the areas where we have a specific concierge service, but we have a team then that works very closely with National Grid, with basically the developers, with Ofgem, trying to see what we can do to rationalise the grid. Now we can't do that for everybody because otherwise everybody would be in the queue, but there are some investments which are strategically and nationally important, and where within the rules we can just make sure that the rules flex in a sufficiently sensible way that will allow implementation to go through. I mean, data centers, it seems to me that the US the US data industry is kind of viewed the UK as it's kind of its base for a lot of pan-European work. So we see this as a very hot sector and will continue to grow. And we know we won't get there unless we are better able to provide those grid connections. So it's absolutely there. I can't promise we can solve all the problems, but there is a mechanism we have. And then we'll be launching, I think it's this year, something called the Connections Accelerator Service, which is taking what we do very much kind of under the table into a slightly more formal process, where again we will be able to ensure that we are focusing our resources